Hello, everybody. My name is Oliver Derricks. I'm the Education Director for RockTape in Asia and Europe. I will talk about a little bit about myself, and we have a great topic today for you.
Hello， 大家好，我是今天的讲师 Oliver， 目前是整个欧洲区和亚洲区的教育总监。那么今天我会在开始前会为大家简短的介绍一下我自己，然后呢，我们会开始今天的课题。
Our topic today is called skintelligence. It's a word that not exists normally, but we made it, and it will just explain you how important your skin is when it comes to connecting or communicating to your brain.
好，那我们今天课题的名字叫皮肤智能，在目前当下市面上没有存在，但我们已经将它创立出来了。那我们希望通过今天这个课题，让大家认识到皮肤的重要性，对我们人的大脑的日常的功能的重要性。我们今天会围绕这个课题进行探讨。
Good, let's start. So as I already said, that's me. I'm a physiotherapist. I'm based in Germany, and I'm working as a physio and a personal trainer for about 12 years now, and I'm working with a lot of professional athletes.
好，那么这就是我目前主要工作在德国。那么目前我个人的职业是负责康复理疗领域，所以我是担任物理治疗师，这个工作已经有12年的时间。那么在整个工作的范围当中，我会为运动员做训练，同时我也是一名私人教练，我会服务不同的会员。那么在今天课题当中，我会以我的身份和经验为大家进行更多的分享。
Why did we choose this topic? This is very, very simple. Because in modern therapy and training, the muscles and joints are still the key players.
好，那我们今天为什么会讲这个课题呢？因为大家都知道，我们的大脑在执行动作，包括日常生活当中，我们需要有皮肤和肌肉来维持，所以这两个主要角色对我们生活当中的重要性是非常大的。
But in the end, the navigator of our body and all our movements and decisions is our brain.
但在所有的动作执行之前，我们的大脑要做主要的主控，因为它是我们人体动作产生的领航者，所以大脑就如我们的导航一样，去产生动作的联系。
And today I will show you why there is a connection between your skin and your brain and why it could be a benefit for you in your daily work with your clients.
今天我会为大家展示为什么大脑与我们人体皮肤的关联性非常的重要，而且这个关系是非常微妙的，它可能会影响到我们生活的日常，包括运动，包括我们在跟客户进行服务的时候，怎么样去更好的通过这个之间的关联性去影响到我们的客户。
So let's take a little bit closer look at the brain to show you a little bit of the functions, which is really necessary.
好，那我们今天会首先将大脑打开，更多的细节关注到我们大脑内部的情况和环境，然后因为这个东西是我们必须要提前了解到的，对我们接下来的课题的必须性是非常大的。
There are a lot of options how to describe the functions of the brain and the anatomy of the brain. We will keep it very simple because in the end, it's very important that you will be able to explain it to your client. I will also explain why this is important.
虽然我们大脑的一个解释，或者说对于大脑的阐述有很多不同的方面，包括也会有很多复杂的解释。因为我们希望在给客户进行沟通的时候，尽可能从复杂到简单化，将其大脑功能尽可能让客户能明白。因此呢，我们今天的主要解释还是围绕着非常基础的一个 版本，让大家更好理解我们大脑功能到底是什么样的。
The easiest way to split the brain into different parts is the way that we choose in our presentation. So you can split it between the old brain and the new brain.
好，我们大脑的主要的功能其实是围绕着我们非常重要的2个区域，或者说2个方面。第一个是我们的大脑，新的大脑，然后或者说我们的一个崭新的一个大脑模式，然后另外一个是相对陈旧的一个大脑模式，这2个方面。
The old brain is also known as the so-called reptile brain, which means this part of the brain was still existed when we were reptiles far, far away, far, far ago.
OK， 好，那首先我们在解释这个第一方面对于陈旧大脑的定义的时候，其实我们可以想象，这个大脑在我们人体的生命当中其实存在了很长的时间了，它的历史也是非常悠久。也许在这个大脑就是潜意识当中，我们其实已经有很长的这个发展史了，在我们大脑的这个整个发展史当中。
The main task of this part of the brain is to answer a question, and the question is very simple. Am I in danger or not?
那对于这一层面，陈旧大脑它主要的功能是帮助人们去回答一些非常简单的问题，比如说，当人体出现在危险情况下，对吗？或者说是否存在有危险的干扰，或者说有危险的因素？对于这一系列的一些简单的问题，这个时候我们的陈旧大脑会产生反应和做主要的工作。
Every influence that reaches my body, so if I hit my elbow, or if I see a car, if I hear a bird, we call this an input.
那对于陈旧大脑的主要的功能是，比如说我们刚刚有提到危险来临的时候，这块大脑开始做主要的运转和主要的工作角色。比如说当我们的胳膊受伤的时候，或者说当我们看见一辆车飞驰过来，或者说听到有鸟的叫声，那这个时候我们这个大脑就开始主要的做功能，主要是来帮助我们去识别一些危险因素。
These inputs will be transported to our old brain.
好，那对于这个方面，我们在做刚刚所说的，这些信息会植入到我们大脑里面，其实都是在通过输入进大脑，通过信息输入的过程来让我们产生识别。那这个识别最终的一个过程渠道是来自于通过陈旧大脑来完成的。
Now the old brain has to decide, is this information something that brings me into a danger situation, or am I in a safe situation?
好，那对于新的大脑，其实我们可以想象，它除了对于危险的识别，而且也会识别我们当下人体是否存在安全因素，或者说我们当下是否在一个安全的环境下。
If the old brain decides that I'm in a safe situation, it will change nothing.
那如果陈旧的大脑当下判断我们是处于在一个安全的环境下，那接下来的所有的事情发生都不会被改变。
If I'm in danger, then the information will be shifted to the higher part of the brain, which is the new brain.
对，那如果陈旧大脑当下接触到的一个信息是，我遇到危险了，那此时这些信号或这些更多的行为的产生，将会由新大脑传递到新大脑来完成接下来的一些执行。
In the new brain, then, we need to make decisions. That means we will create plans to go out of this danger situation and also to avoid these situations in the future.
那对于新大脑，它的主要功能是：第一，帮助我们脱离危险；第二，是可以将我们当下的经验作为保留，在未来遇到同样的危险时，我们怎么样去回避。
and you can see this here in this slide, that there are different ways of bringing information to our brain, and also what will be the output of our brain.
好，那对于我们的整个大脑的功能性，其实我们可以输入和输出这两个方面来进行解释。
Basically, you can say that there's always an input, there's a decision in the brain as our navigator, and then there is an output.
好，那首先不管在什么样的环境下，我们的大脑都会出现两种，第一种是输入，比如说当我们有这个信息进入到我们的大脑里面时，我们会产生思考，然后去做决定，然后最终呢输出。
Input can be a cognitive input, can be an emotion, but also can be sensory. And sensory will be the topic of today because our skin is working on a sensory base.
好，那对于输入而言，我们可以分为认知的输入、情绪的输入、感官的输入。那感官输入呢，是我们今天主要的课题内容，因为感官输入直接是由我们的皮肤外表表层产生的接受信号来做出最后的信息传入的。
Why does all this matter for training? This should be the main question. And the answer is very simple. If one of these inputs is sending out, let's say, the wrong signals to your brain, you will get the wrong output, which means your movement can be limited or you can be in pain.
好，那为什么输入到大脑的所有信息的重要性将会影响到训练当中的安全和效益呢？那我们要思考为什么？因为首先，当信息输入过后，如果这个信息是错误的输入，这些信息产生了错误的信号，那最终我们输出的整个过程也将是错误的。所以，当输入的东西是错误的动作，也许我们的动作也是错误，那也可能会造成疼痛等一些其他情况发生。
The basic idea is as you can see on the slide, we will tape the skin, we create a new information to the brain, and we change movement.
好，那如果我们在整个皮肤外层贴上这样胶贴，我们将这个信息新的信息传入，然后传入大脑过后，输入的这个信息会再通过输出来产生正确动作。
How does it work? And this is the thing that you need to know. And I already mentioned it before. At some point, it's important that you explain how it works to your client.
好，那首先我会为大家解释，你们当给会员进行阐述时该如何去解释，对于我们大脑的信息可能会由皮肤表层的接受器的影响，会影响到整个训练的计划和收益。该怎么样解释呢？我会为大家进行讲解。
There's always a way to explain something very complicated. And Rocktape made one of their goals to make information very simple, so we will not talk about rocket science.
那对于有些解释而言可能会非常复杂，但对于 Rocktape 的宗旨是通过最简单的解释，通俗易懂的让大家能明白，因为我们不想去造火箭的难度让大家去理解，所以我们希望更多让这些理解的话术落地，让大家更好去传递给会员。
Good. So in our body, besides of our brain, which creates our central nervous system together with the spinal cord.
好，那首先我们的信息传入进到我们的大脑过后，我们会进入到我们的大脑当中的一个非常重要的一个小脑的位置。
We have our peripheral nervous system, and this peripheral nervous system is in total 45 miles or about 72 kilometers long.
好，我们人体会有这个 内周外神经系统整个长度会达到45英里，差不多72公里的长度。
Every centimeter of your skin has a nerve that is directly attached to it.
我们身体皮肤的器官当中，几乎每1厘米都会有一个神经。
All this happened, or it was created, when we were an embryo in the belly of our mother. The first part that is created is our brain. The second part that was created is our skin.
好，那对于皮肤每立方厘米都有一个神经这样的一个解释，其实我们可以再回归到，我们在母亲怀孕期间，或者说我们在整个怀孕周期当中，会发现整个婴儿的一个发展过程是首先将婴儿的大脑发育完成，然后再发育他的皮肤。
And this is why our sensory information is so important and so strong connected with our brain, and then make a decision to change the reality.
好，那为什么皮肤在第二个除了大脑之外非常重要的一个发展的器官部位呢？是因为我们人体在所有接收到信息的瞬间，可能都会通过皮肤表层来传递给大脑这些信号。
The skin itself can be seen as a science for itself, but this as well can be explained quite simple.
好，那对于我们的皮肤的解释，可能很多的学说都非常的复杂化，有很多的高难度的解释，非常研究性的一些解释。但其实我们可以通过最简单的一个话语来更通俗易懂的来明白。
The total size of our skin is about 1.5, 1.7 square meters in total.
好，那我们对于皮肤而言是差不多在1.5.05平方厘米左右的一个大小面积。
Which means if we count that down to square centimeters, we have 1,500 to 1,700 square centimeters, which means we have the same number of nerves running through the skin and also going back up to our brain.
OK。那我们的皮肤表层它的一个整体面积是跟我们的神经的一个整体设计面都是同样大的，成千上百万个皮肤的位置都会跟我们神经相连，所以说它们的大小面积都非常相似。
Our skin is built in different layers that lay over each other, and directly attached to it, there is our so-called superficial fascial system.
好，那我们对我们的神经而言，我们的皮肤表面其实有很多的一些不同的表层，这些表层都会有深层和浅层啊，有更多的一些分层在我们的皮肤表面。
In these different layers and also in the superficial fascia, we have a lot of so-called nerve endings or mechanoreceptors.
好，那我们在整个皮肤外表层的一个组织的层面当中，我们会有比如说像游离神经末梢这样的组织在我们的皮肤表层。
These mechanoreceptors have different tasks. Some of them are for pressure, some of them for feeling stretch, others feel vibration or heat or cold.
好，那它们的主要的功能目的是，比如说可能会感觉疼痛，感觉镇压，或者感觉到有冰、热等这些功能。
One group of these receptors is called free nerve endings, and these free nerve endings are our danger detectors.
好，那我们刚刚提到游离神经末梢，更多是为了去判断识别我们的危险因子。
These danger detectors will give information to our brain, and as we come back, it will give information to the old brain. The old brain will decide, is it really danger? And then if it's danger, it will say, I give out the output pain.
好，那首先将这个游离神经末梢的功能，我们刚刚有提到，它是为了识别危险因子的。那这些危险因子一旦被识别出，它会先经过新的这个大脑，他们来进行一个处理感受。如果这个过程真的是非常危险的，那如果产生这个危险因素成立的话，将会发出信号到我们的身体的表层或到我们的大脑，会告诉大脑我们现在是处于疼痛的。
In the animation, you can see a square centimeter of the skin, and let's play this again. You see, it's very small, but there's a lot of different tissues and a lot of different receptors and also blood vessels underneath it.
你会看到每一平方厘米的这个小表层里面有很多深表层，每一层它们都会有不同的一些组织，比如说会有神经，比如说会有血管，比如说会有这个刚说的毛细管，都会在这一表层当中出现。
In total, we can say in this square centimeter, we have over 500 receptors.
好，我们刚刚说，在这个小的平方厘米的这个皮肤表层当中，差不多有500个接收器铺遍在这个面积下。
And these 500 receptors have all the different tasks that I explained before. And if we just take the example of someone that is not moving very much on a daily basis, it could be that the information that these receptors give to the brain is wrong.
好，那首先这些感受器500个感受器，它都有非常多的功能，它们主要是来负责我们不同的一些事物的判断的。那当我们的皮肤表层所输入的信息到我们的大脑当中出现错误，那大脑也会输出同样的错误的信息，最终会造成很多的一些问题的产生。
So let's change some information to get some better outcomes.
好，那我们来做一些信息的调整，让大家更好的去知道我们怎么样去做改变过后，我们的结果会更好呢。
One thing that we should recognize as well is that every single hair in our skin has its own nerve as well. And we use this, sorry.
那首先我们要去理解每一个毛囊下面它都会有个单独的神经。
We will use these nerves as well to bring information to our brain. When it comes to taping on the skin, we see a lot of people that shave their hair completely, which is probably not the best thing to have the best outcomes.
好，那首先这些毛囊因为有单独的神经，那这些神经都会来负责传递信号给大脑。那我们看到在进行这个胶贴使用的时候，会有很多的人可能会有去除汗毛囊的这个习惯那他认为这个不一定是最好的事情。
My first advice is if someone has very long hair on their body, don't shave it completely, just trim it like I do on my head. So you will have better outcomes with tape instead of if you really shave your hair.
好，那如果你想在使用绩效贴的时候，我要感觉更舒适，或者说更好的结果产生的话，希望是像有些客户可能会有长的汗毛在手臂上面，建议是去除一部分，不要完全去除完。比如说在刚刚 Oliver 头上，他会有这个理发，所以他会保留一小部分的毛发在他头上。同样的，对于想更好的产生绩效贴的效果的人，如果你的汗毛比较长，只需要去除一部分就可以了，留一部分在手上。
So you see that touch in general is leading to a lot of different senses. And there is a tactile sense, which means if I put fingers on my arm, I can feel that there are fingers on my arm without even seeing it. But we also detect pain or temperature, pressure, vibration. And I will skip the other two I will talk about later.
好，那首先我们当手指放在我们的皮肤表层的时候，一旦有外界接触我们的皮肤，就会感受到有信息的植入。那不管是最纯粹的触碰，比如说两根手指放到我们的小臂上方，尽管现在不用眼睛去观察，就会感觉到身体会有外界接触。那当然，除此之外，我们当有触觉的反应的时候，除了关于触碰的感受，还会有疼痛的感受，还会温度和压力的感受。
Well, it will also work with our proprioception, which means where are my, let's say my arm, where is my arm in space right now? There's a simple test, and I want you to test it on your own at home. So what you do is you bring your hands in front of you, so arms are straight. Your thumbs are going to the roof, and your hands should be on the same height level, okay? Then you close your eyes, bring the arm overhead, go back down to the starting position, and you try to be on the same position as before, and then open your eyes. And that's quite okay from my side.
好，那首先我们对于前面讲的痛觉、温度、压力、震动之外，还有本体感受器也是通过触觉会有产生反应的。比如说，我们来做一个简单测试，每个人可以将你的双眼闭上，将你的双手抬起来，手指朝上天花板，然后大概你的手臂的高度跟你肩同高，然后闭上你眼睛向上抬起来，然后在下放的时候睁开眼睛，看一下整个高度的变化。对他而言，它的高度大概是跟之前闭上眼睛抬臂的时候是一样的。
Some of you will have recognized that you will not be on the same position in the test. You will be like this or like this. This is nothing you have to be scared about.
好，那对于刚刚做完这个测试的大家而言，可能一部分人在睁眼下放的时候发现停顿一瞬间结束完双臂的高度是不同高的，可能右边的高，左边的要低，你不用因为这个事情感觉到害怕。
But it shows us that your proprioception is not working very efficient.
那如果你的双手高度在做完这个测试过后，发现高度不平，不是同样高，那只能说明你的本体感受器的工作效益和效率性并不是最好的。
Touch now can be a great tool to work with your proprioception. That means, first of all, if I see with the client that this is the outcome, so this arm here is lower than the other one, and this arm is in the right position, I could do the same exercise, closing the eyes, but then me as a trainer or a physio can guide his arm with touch to go up and then go down into the position and say, this is your position, open your eyes, and they will see that this is the right position for them.
好，那如果对于客户而言，我们私人教练其实可以帮助他们去调整他们双手的高度。那如果这个本体感受器当下工作的效益并不是最好的，那我们可以通过用触碰的方式去调整，不管是私人教练还是物理治疗师。那首先还是这样的，先将双眼闭上，然后用教练或者说物理治疗师的手指去触碰他的小臂，帮助他向上抬，然后并且呢帮助他下放到一个最正确的位置，同高的水平。那这样一个过程就是在教他学习怎么样去提高本体感受的工作效率，同时呢也是在给他一个暗示和提示，通过触觉。
If I repeat this exercise now 5 to 10 times with the person will adjust to the position guided by the touch of my hands, and it will make their proprioception more efficient.
好，那完成5到10次，通过基础的练习，反复练习，可以帮助提高本体感受的工作效率。那在未来的整个练习当中，可能会因触觉的一个练习方式，那样双手可以抬高到同样的一个水平高度的话，这样的一个练习是可以提供一个本体感受及工作效率提升的机会。
How can I now influence this training that I already did with a strip of tape? So what I do now, I just take a small strip of tape and place it exactly on the same spot where I placed my hand as a trainer. So basically here on the forearm. It's not very specific where I have to put it. It's just that the person feels a kind of sensory input, which is touch of the tape, which is the same as the touch of my hand before.
好，那如何通过绩效贴来在训练过程中去提高本体感受的工作效率呢？可以帮助客户通过刚刚这个练习来完成的更好。我们还是一样的，找到刚刚用手指触碰小臂的这个区域位置，然后去贴上绩效贴，然后就可以在接下来练习当中让他有足够的意识，能够知道，哎，在什么样的高度是最佳的，能达到一个双手平衡平等的高度。
So now I can use this tape and redo the test just to see if we make the outcome better. But also, this person feels the touch now for the whole time when the tape is on the skin, which could be up to 7 days.
好，那还是这样的，在这个当中，你会发现绩效贴的位置就跟我们手触碰的位置是一样的，所以它可以替代手去让客户能够感觉到当下这一块接收器能够告知他大概小臂抬的高度。那也许这样的一个绩效贴储存的时间是7天的时间，它都可以通过这7天当中反复练习，达到一个能够自然而然的回到一个最准确的高度。
So you can say tape is a great way to bring awareness into a body part where the awareness was maybe a little bit inefficient.
好，那对于绩效贴而言，它可以产生让客户达到提高意识的效果。因此呢，这个意识也许它的效益性并不是最大化，但是它可以帮助到客户知道大概它的这一侧的区域应该有更多的意识的产生，注重这一侧的一个发力的大小或者说抬高的高度。
So when I try to feel my both forearms right now, I can tell you that this arm is much more present in my brain compared to this side where no tape is attached.
所以现在如果我给大家展示的是我的左手的小臂会贴上绩效贴，那我可以肯定的告诉大家，现在对于我双臂而言的感受意识来对比的话，我的左臂的意识会更强烈。
Let's do a second test on your own. So if you place your right hand on your left shoulder like this.
我们现在进入到第二个测试。那首先假设你用你的右手抓住你的左肩。
Now try to feel if you feel and can detect this shoulder in your brain.
好，那去感受一下，假设你左边的这边的肩膀被人工气到了。
Due to the touch of my hand, this awareness of the left shoulder should be very strong right now.
好，那相比于右肩而言，因为我的左肩被右手触碰到了，这个过程可以大大提高我的左肩膀的意识。
The question is now, what about your other shoulder? Can you feel the other shoulder right now?
好，那现在的问题是，你是否也可以感受到你的右边的肩膀的感知呢？有否意识呢？
The answer should be no, because the touch on the other side is now much more information going to the brain just from one side, and here is no extra information. So this side will be more present than the other side.
那答案是没有的。那相对于左边的肩膀被触碰到，因此当下所有的感知能力都会靠向左边，这边的意识会更强烈，右边将会失去所有的意识感受。
So as you can see, tape can be a great replication of my hand on a person's body. And we will use this now in some examples to show you how to integrate this into your daily work.
好，那大家可以看到，对于绩效贴而言，它的功能性是非常强大的，它的影响也是非常重要的。那我们等一下也会把这些东西再进行精细的讲解，让大家知道它的其他的一些功能和使用用处。
So, key information until now start to talk to your brain through the skin and the connective tissue.
好，今天我们会进行讨论关于大脑通过组织肌肉组织到我们的大脑这个过程。
Good. So we have a study here, which is an old study from 1971, but the outcome of the study is very important for us to understand.
好，那我们首先以一个研究开篇，虽然这个研究是蛮老的一个研究，1971年，但这个研究的数据是非常有震撼力的。
The kinesthetic guidance translates to a behavior 30 times faster than visual guidance or many thousand times quicker than auditory guidance.
那就如文章中所提到，动觉指导的转化行为的速度会比视觉指导快30倍，比听觉指导快数千倍。
What does it mean? Classical training is most times based on what do you see? That means you give your client the exercise and show the exercise. You can show it on your own, you can show another athlete, or you can show a video. So people try to see it and try to replicate it.
好，那对于大部分的教练而言，在进行教学指导的时候，教练都会使用动作的指导方式，让客户可以不仅是在线下1对1看你直观的一个动作示范去学习模仿，或者说通过线上，比如说视频来模仿你所教的动作。
The next thing that we do is we explain the exercise. So we give an auditory command on what is to do. For example, bring your arms on shoulder height, elbows straight, bring the arms overhead.
好，那另外一个指导方法就是我们常用的语言或者说听觉指导，比如叫客户让双手抬高与肩同高，然后举过头顶，或者说超过头顶等等，这些都是属于语言教导，通过听觉的方式来进行教学。
But this guidance of seeing and hearing is often not enough. And we could support the exercise with touch, with this kinesthetic guidance.
那对于前面两者而言，它的一个指教信息传入还是会有一定的局限性和效益会相对没有那么最大化。因此，我们发现，在进行通过触碰的方式来进行教学，它的一个转换收益会更大。
When I was in school for physiotherapy long time ago, the sports science said that you need 15,000 exact repetitions to create a behavior from a movement.
那首先对于他个人而言，在10多年前在学校读书，还是一名这个在校学生，专业是物理治疗师。那他们的老师会给了他们一个研究数据，当时他印象非常深刻，说是如果你要去学到一个动作，把它精湛化或者说掌握到位的话，需要通过 大约1500次的反复练习才能达到。
When I finished my graduation finally, the good thing was that sports science said it was just 3,500 reps.
那在他快完成他的研究生的学习的时期，他们的运动科学的专家其实最终给到一个答案是，你不需要那么多，可能只需要350次反复练习就可以学到一个动作。
These 3,500 were mainly based on the outcomes of visual training or visual guidance and auditory guidance. If we take to account now that kinesthetic guidance can be 30 times quicker, then we can have a big advantage out of that.
好，刚刚说的这个350次其实是3500次啊，这个反复练习是他最终获得到的这个答案。那他发现当时这个老师给他讲了这个数据过后，他也并且获得更多的一个解释，就是如果人将动觉、还有视觉、还有听觉整合在一起去学习的话，其实效率最高的。但是发现动觉指导转换行为速度会比视觉还要再快30倍。
Can you imagine that you do an exercise or a movement with the client 3,500 times to create a behavior out of this movement? I would say no.
所以你会发现，你真的会愿意去花350次的练习，反复的重复，让你客户去学一个动作吗？他认为是不可能的。
So in this case, I would add touch to the movement. And this is something we see also in personal training already. For example, if someone is doing a rowing exercise, trainers are putting their fingers between the shoulder blades to guide the person where to bring the shoulder blades instead of just pulling from the arms.
好，那对于触觉的教学，他会将这个方法用到他的上课当中。比如说，你会看到很多教练其实也是在用手触的方式去教客户。比如说，你会看到一个客户在进行划船练习，教练会将双指放他的肩胛骨的中间，让他的双侧肩胛骨向中间靠近。这样的话，在进行划船的时候，避免只是用小臂发力而忘记了背阔肌的收紧。
So if you take a look at the taping application that you see on the screen, this is exactly what I did with my fingers here, where I was putting my fingers between my shoulder blades to guide the movement. This tape will do exactly the same.
那绩效贴会贴到我们身体的背后，形成一个 X 型的交叉状，其实就是代替了用手指去触碰肩胛骨中间的这个区域，去达到一个双侧肩骨相互靠近，更好的增加背阔肌的收缩的这样的一个效益。其实用绩效贴就可以来代替的，最终的效果都是一样的。
This taping application is one of my favorite taping applications, and this is something I would really suggest to try this with your clients, because we see a lot of people standing like this. Do you want to translate this first?
OK， 好，那对于这样一个绩效贴的贴的技术和位置，他非常喜欢这样一个 X 型的绩效贴的贴位，因为他会发现很多的客户当下在生活环境中，由于长期高压或生活体态，容易会出现圆肩含胸的这样的一个姿势。
So their main posture is like a flexed thoracic spine and internal rotated shoulders. So people are staying like this.
那这样体态主要的发生是由于过度的胸椎屈曲和过度的肩关节做内旋而造成的这样的一个含胸的体态出现。
To bring the person in a more extended position, we need to lift the chest and we need to externally rotate the shoulders. So this tape is exactly an application for this case. Just imagine if you bring a person into a position like this, which is exactly the position of a more extended spine and an externally rotated shoulder.
好，那我们希望客户能够保证他的身体能够达到一个仰胸的状态的话，首先需要挺起胸口，然后尽可能让你的肩关节做一个向后的外旋，这样才会让你的胸椎逐渐的伸展，达到一个比较好的上肢体态，而不会出现含胸。所以我们希望跟刚刚 Oliver 所展示的这样的一个体态是一样的，首先要将你的双侧肩关节向做后外旋，然后将你的胸做伸展挺开，才会达到这样的一个身体的正确的体态。
So if we bring the person in a position like this and we apply a tape without stretching the tape, exactly as you can see on the screen, and you bring the person in a normal position, you will see that they will not fall back into this position.
好，那如果我们能将这样的一个绩效贴的应用技术直接用在一个客户他可能会容易出现含胸驼背的情况的话，我们直接将它贴在一个比较容易产生胸椎伸展和帮助肩关节做外旋的一个位置上面，可以更好的去矫正它的上交叉的体态。
So why does this work? This should be a question. So the idea of that is very simple. If we take a simple strip of tape like this, and I just remove the paper on the back, you can see that the tape can be stretched.
好，那为什么这样的一个绩效贴可以帮助我们的胸椎伸展，然后帮助我们挺胸抬头，不会出现圆肩含胸？原理很简单，其实我们就首先随便拿一块绩效贴，把它撕成两半来看一下，它的一个成分是有这个中间有弹性和连性的，对吗？
If you bring the person in the position that you want to achieve afterwards and you apply the tape, every time that the person wants to fall back in this flexed position, it will recognize the stretch of the tape on the skin.
好，那如果每一次我们发现客户他会出现圆肩含胸的话，其实后侧的这个绩效贴就会产生这样的一个信号，它会识别人会出现这样的一个身体的体态，那它会产生一个弹性的效果，或者说一个收紧的意识。
As soon as they realize that they create more tension of the tape by changing their posture, they will come back into a neutral posture to bring back the tape into a normal position.
好，那当我们的大脑或者说我们身体有产生这样的一个识别意识后，是因为绩效贴它会牵拉我们的身体向后倒。那向后倒的时候，整个人身体就会从以前的向前圆肩含胸到达一个伸展充分的过程。
One thing that we should ask ourselves now is, why is it important to bring someone of this position into a more neutral position?
那另外一个问题，我们会思考，为什么我们希望是通过矫正，让更多客户从含胸的体位回到一个更偏向于中立的一个角度状态呢？
The answer for that should be very simple. If I am in a more flexed position, it has a very bad influence of my shoulder joint, which means if I'm in this position, I'm not able to bring my arm overhead completely.
那这个答案解释是非常简单的。那如果一个人过度的胸椎做曲曲，没有好的胸椎伸展的灵活性的话，那么你在做抬肩的动作当中会出现受限，你的肩的抬高的幅度将会很小。那此时你在做任何幅度的运动时，可能会对你肩膀的压力会很大，造成肩部的受伤。
The reason for that is very simple, because my shoulder blade will rotate to the front, and it will block the movement of my shoulder.
好，那如果我们的肩膀向前做过度的旋转的话，将我们的手臂抬起来那一瞬间，可能就会造成更多的肩膀的压力，造成肩部撞击或者说更多的受伤风险。
So the goal should be to bring our shoulder blade into a more neutral position, which will be back and down, so my arm can move the whole way over my head.
因此，我们希望是将我们的肩部的关节位置更多拉回到一个更偏向于中立的一个角度，此时才会更顺滑的抬高手臂，不会产生太多的疼痛或者说受伤的风险。
This is something that we see with professional athletes, but also with, let's say, normal people that go out for training, and it can cause a lot of weakness for them.
我们发现很多的精英运动员，包括职业运动员，还有一些可能大众会员都会出现这样的一个情况，这些情况都会对你的成功的训练效益产生很大的阻碍，使你人感觉更加虚弱。
Right. So posture is one big topic of training. If we can make the biomechanical structures working more efficient, our training results will be better.
那如果我们看到我们整个人的后侧链练习当中，我们会首先通过更加科学的力学优势的分析，来达到一个动作设计或者说动作计划的一个编排，可以帮助促进更好的训练的收益。
Very important for us is whatever you do with tape, we want to integrate a screen and a rescreen, which means it can be every test that you have in mind when it comes to movement.
那首先，只要关于动作的一些模式的练习，都需要让训练者做筛查，然后再做筛查。
So let's stick with the shoulder. Just a personal example. My left shoulder is my more problematic shoulder, and it's always very internally rotated.
好，那以我个人的案例为例吧，比如说我的左边的肩膀是比较严重的一个问题存在，当下我会经常会发现肩关节会做过度的内旋，长期会有这样的情况在我身上出现。
And it causes a problem that when it comes to movement, maybe you can see it better like this. If I lift my arms overhead, there's a difference. So you can see that my left arm is not in the same position as my right arm.
那如果我的左面肩膀过度的向前内旋的时候，它会给我带来很多的烦恼，会对我日常的动作产生很大的影响。比如说抬起手臂的时候，会发现左边的手臂抬起来的高度幅度是跟右边抬起来的手臂高度幅度是完全不同的。
And as our topic is the skin today, let's take a look at a screen of the skin.
好，那我们先看一下我们的这个皮肤，从皮肤这一层来进行分析。
On the slide, you can see that there are two fingers on the skin of of the back of a person.
好，那对于我们目前看到屏幕当中，会发现一个人的双指会放在这个下背部的皮肤表层。
What we do now, or what I will show to you, and this is a point that you can do on your own, is we take our shoulder and basically the front part of your shoulder. What I do is I put two fingers on top of it, and I don't really press in it.
那我们现在自己来做一个简单的练习随便将你的一侧的肩膀抬起来，放松，然后将你的衣服捞起来，然后用你的双侧的手指放到你的肩部的前侧，不用施压，只需要触碰在上面就可以了。
So what I do now is I place my fingers really softly on the skin, and then I try to glide the skin to the outside.
好，那轻轻的触碰在皮肤的表层，不用向下压，只需要向一个外侧的方向做一个滑行， 滑摸的方式去沿着方向向外进行触摸。
Now I test to do the same to the inside.
然后做同样的一个手法，向肩部内侧进行一个滑动。
The same up and also down.
同样的，向上和向下完成同样的一个手法。
The next thing that we do is, I'll better say, I try to feel what direction is the hardest direction to move.
那么接下来的一件事情，我将去对比这4个方向，哪一个方向对我而言滑行的难度会更大，在滑行当中会产生更大的阻碍。
And for me, I try to paint this now on my shoulder. This direction is the direction that is the hardest to move. The other directions are quite soft. But in this direction, I have to use a lot of force to move it.
好，那相比于像这个箭头状的外侧进行滑动的难度会更大一点，这个阻力会更大，障碍会更明显。但如果产生其他方向的滑动时会更顺畅。所以当下这个箭头的方向指的位置，滑动的时候会感觉到这个阻碍会更明显一点。
So what I want to do now, I want to use a strip of tape. Again, it's quite a small strip of tape. And I want to move that part with the tape a little bit more to the outside.
接下来会用个胶贴，小的胶贴去放在箭头状这个方向，产生像箭头状这一方向的牵拉力，这样可以帮助我这边的滑行的一个幅度会更大。
So to do that, I just remove a little bit of the paper on the back of the tape, short before the end of the tape. So what you can see now is like I have a part where is no paper and the rest where the paper is still on.
那么在开始之前，首先将胶条贴的一头撕下来，背面撕下来，然后你会发现有一头撕下过后会出现一小部分的黑色和其他部分还是原有的颜色，是这样的一个呈现样子。
So what I do now, I place this part without the paper just in front of the tested area, and then I gently rub over the tape to make it stick.
好，那首先将没有任何粘连的这边朝向一个方向，然后只有粘连黑色区域的这边先贴在我们的目标方向的一端，然后这个时候呢，尽可能的让它紧贴在上面，我们可以用手吸压，保证它是贴稳了。
So now I will carefully remove the middle of the paper of the tape. And what I do now, I stretch the tape in the exact direction that I tested my skin and just lay it on top of it.
好，那接下来我会将另外的一大半的胶贴撕下来，然后顺沿着测试的箭头方向进行一个贴连，保证它能够在每一个范围下都能够完全贴紧，没有任何的空隙，没有贴到的位置。
Okay, so what basically is happening now is I stretch the tape to the outside, and the point that was very hard to move is now a little bit maybe to the outside. Maybe it's a centimeter, maybe it's less.
那么这个时候你发现，在贴完过后，可能原本比较难滑动的这块区域啊，现在可能会有增加，因为当胶条贴它会产生一个向箭头方向这个拉力，这个牵拉力可能会使整个滑动范围会增加，哪怕这个幅度范围是非常小的，移动距离是非常小的，可能会有1厘米，但它也是存在的。
So one thing that I directly feel is, due to the tape of my shoulder, on my shoulder right now, this shoulder is more aware in my brain right now.
好，那所贴的这个位置会相比于另外一侧没有贴的这边的肩膀，会感觉有贴就要贴这一侧会更有意识一点，对大脑和整个信息传递会更有意识。
So let's do a retest to try if I can move my arms better.
那我们再做第二次的评估测试，看一下这次抬手臂会比之前更好吗？
I think this should be nearly one position. But it's
他认为
definitely
现在
farther than before.
他认为这一次的话，应该在同一个水平高度下，两边的手臂的范围都是一样大的，但也有可能左边的手臂会比右边抬起来幅度会更大了。
So the tape will give me now a constant pull of the skin to the outside. And this is what I feel. And what I do is I change my movement directly. So from an internal rotation in the shoulder, I go to an external rotation without me controlling that.
那么在这短短的一个绩效贴的使用过程当中，通过这样的应用方法，使它的肩过度的向内旋，达到更多向外旋的一个效果后呢，发现这些好处都会影响它的动作产生的质量会更好，没有通过任何的人工的控制它自我的一个控制，而是通过一个绩效贴这样的技术，就让它达到立即呈现一个好的效果的变化。
So what is the reason of it? So why does it work? And the explanation for that is quite simple. One explanation is, yes, there is more present in the brain, but also remember that there are nerves attached to every square centimeter of my skin.
好，那为什么会产生这样一个神奇效果呢？其实这个解释非常简单，有两个方面啊。第一个解释是由于刚刚我们提到的，我们会有这样的一个大脑的意识产生新的这样的一个侧重的意识点，这样的有贴绩效贴这一边的肩膀。第二个原因是因为刚刚提到每一平方厘米的皮肤下面都会有一个神经，所以这个神经会导致我们的动作意识的产生变化。
Kevin, can you see my printing?
Yes, I can.
Okay, that's great. So what I do now, this on top here is basically the skin.
大家可以看到，所画的这个横切面这一层上方其实就是皮肤。
Underneath the skin, we have our fascial system.
好，在这个皮肤表层以下呢，会有筋膜。
And the nerves that are attached to the skin needs to run through the fascial system and then attach to the skin.
那在这个筋膜系统下方则是神经，所以这个神经在进行连接到皮肤中间，必须要经过纤维系统，肌纤维。
On this way, running through the fascia, this nerve can get stuck somewhere.
好，那么在整个神经与肌肤表层皮肤进行连接的过程当中，可能会出现部分的障碍和阻碍。
What we did now with the tape and with our testing, we moved this. So this is the spot that we tested on my shoulder.
好，那这个区域刚刚所画这个圆圈这个点，就是它刚刚测试它肩膀的一个位置。
And we figured out that it was restricted to go into this direction.
发现我们刚刚在进行向测试方向一侧移动的时候，出现很大的阻碍难点啊，移动起来会非常困难，移动范围是非常小的。
So we covered this with tape on top and pulled the tape in the same direction.
所以采用了绩效贴的方向，则与我刚刚测试用手去进行滑动的方向是一致的一个方向，用绩效贴。
which will help the nerve unstuck itself in the fascial system.
好，那可以帮助神经能够避免这样一个连质点或者说停顿点直接穿过更好的一个筋膜系统，达到我们的皮肤表层的滑行。
So to unwrap this, we help the nerve to glide better under the skin, which created new information going to my brain, telling my brain, hey, you can move your arm farther than before.
好，那通过我们的神经传递更有效的信号到达我们皮肤表层，是由于刚刚的肌效贴产生更多的牵拉，将这层的信息输入到我们的大脑。这个大脑其实就告诉我们的肩膀，你现在是可以有更大的肩膀幅度范围意识的。
Great. So here you can see an example for the lower back. Unfortunately, I cannot show it on my lower back. But as you can see in the test here before, same idea, going into 4 directions.
好，那由于我现在不能示范我的下背部的一个情况，但大家可以看到在图片当中，用手指触碰进行滑动的这样的一个测试呢，其实跟我们肩膀的测试是一样的，同样的原理，4个方向进行滑行的测试。
And if we found out it was difficult to glide the skin to the outside, we apply the tape in the middle and we stretch it with the skin to the outside.
好，同样的，如果是像左侧滑行过程当中出现的连质点或卡点的话，那么还是用刚刚的肌效贴，采用同一个方向进行一个贴合，让完全的这个方向匹配于刚刚手指滑动方向。
This specific application can be tested with the forward band, for example. So how far can I reach to the ground? Or if we do deadlifts as an exercise, this could be a great application if someone has problems with their lower back.
那如果对于这样的一个肌效贴的使用技巧的话，它由于方向的增加，可以帮助我们更好的产生肌肉表层的滑动啊，其实柔韧性也会因此而提高。那这样一个增强效果可以帮助很多客户在进行下肢硬拉的这样动作当中出现活动度受限，不能弯腰俯身，而通过这样的一个技术就可以来达到更好的活动范围增加的改善。
So let's try to show you two other points that you can do on yourself where you can test, but also let us talk about pain in general.
好，那我们来做接下来另外2个演示。
So let's try something on the inside of the knee.
好，那我们来做另外一个案例的分析。假设膝盖内侧伴随疼痛。
So the inside of the knee, there we have several structures here that can cause problems. It could be my medial ligament.
那如果这一侧的疼痛出现的话，有很多的原因会造成这一侧内侧疼痛，比如说会出现这个韧带的问题。
But it could also be my meniscus or something that is detected as a muscular problem.
也有可能是因为筋膜肌肉的柔韧性问题过于紧张，也有可能是半月板的问题而造成。
I want you to focus on this point here, which is basically exactly the point where my medial knee runs and also my meniscus is.
好，那我们首先来看一下这个圆圈点这个位置，大概是在我们的这髌骨的前侧的左方和大概在我们的膝盖内侧以上的位置。
So what I do again, I take my 2 fingers, I place them on top of it. I try to push the skin down, up, and to the front and to the back. and just try to feel which direction is not gliding so easy as the other directions.
好，同样的，用我的双指呢，轻轻触碰在原点的这个位置，产生前、后还有上下这4个方向的一个滑动，来进行对比，哪一个方向滑动当中会产生更大的阻碍难点或者说有卡点的位置，记录下来。
So what happens if someone feels pain at a point of their body? Let's say I hit my medial knee somewhere at a table or somewhere else. What is the first thing that I do on my own?
那首先假设我们在生活当中，如果就他自己而言不小心伤到这个膝盖内侧的话，不管是碰撞也好，或者说有摔倒，那当下第一个时间你会做什么样的一个紧急措施呢？
So the first thing that I would do if I hit my knee somewhere, I would place a hand on it. I would give compression, or maybe I would start rub over it.
那第一个事情，他会首先增加一个压力、压缩力，用手掌去触碰到膝盖内侧，产生一个压力、压缩，或者呢进行抚摸来柔和这块区域，来缓解疼痛。
This is a natural reaction, and this is nothing that someone has taught us in our lives. It's even small kids are doing the same. They never saw it before. They will touch the area that is hurting.
这个撮合或者进行按压的举动呢，其实人自然的一个条件反射，不管是成年人还是小朋友，尽管小朋友可能没有看过这样的一个手触碰的方法，但这是人的条件自然反射，都会产生这样的一个动作行为。
Our tape now is doing exactly the same. So let's say this point is hurting. I did my gliding test, and I figure out that my skin is not moving really well to the front.
好，那举个例子，如果这一侧内侧膝盖产生的受伤那其实我会通过刚刚的4个方向的测试、滑行测试来对比。假设我现在向前侧方向进行滑动当中出现了卡点，那我将会在这个点上的方向进行一些绩效贴的处理。
So I take this small strip of tape, I rip off the paper again like I did before on one end. I will place it just behind the point that I tested. And now I will pull the tape to the front of my knee and just place it on top of it.
好，那如果现在我的方向在正前方会出现一个卡点的话，还是用刚刚的绩效贴的方法技巧，将一侧有相连的这一边先取掉它的背部，使它先贴稳在我们的膝盖内侧的一端，然后朝同一个方向慢慢滑动，将其他的部分撕扯掉，完全的贴合。
Again, what did we create now? We have a better awareness of this body part, point number 1. Point number 2, we help the nerve that is underneath it gliding better in the tissue.
好，那这样做的一个目的是有2个，第一，可以有更好的一个神经给大脑传递的意识。那第2个好处呢，是可以通过皮肤表层传递到我们神经，让我们整个产生动作的时候有更好的一个方向轨迹。
Now it comes to a very, very important point. If you do this with a client the first time, they will ask you why you do it.
那非常有趣的一个真实现象就是，当你给会员去进行绩效贴的贴合的时候，也许会员他第一个会产生的疑问就是你为什么会这样做呢？
If you explain someone in a very easy way, in their language, why you do something to solve a problem, the outcome will be much better if you give no explanation to it.
那如果你在进行阐述的时候，能够通过一个更简单、更通俗一种方法去给客户进行解释，那其实这个解释当中可能理解成本会要求比较高。那对客户而言，其实最佳的一个结果，他是想看到效果，所以通过解释和对比不解释而言，不解释直接去做这个行为，然后达到一个最后的效果呈现，这是更好的一件方法。
Pain can have various reasons. So it's not only that there is a damage of tissue. It could be something that is historically, maybe the person had an injury at that part of the body years ago, which is coming back, and this is why we have pain.
那对于在解释膝盖疼痛这个案例下，其实有很多的原因会造成膝盖疼痛，所以你会很难去找到一个最佳的解释去告诉客户为什么会有膝盖疼痛，然后做这样的处理，因为背后的原因可能是因为曾经客户有过一些膝盖的损伤，或者说曾经有受过一些膝盖的碰撞等等，才造成这样的一个疼痛出现的。
This approach is called biosocial psycho model, and it describes that if someone is in pain, that the whole life of the person can be a reason for this pain. So, for example, if the person is happy with their job, if the person has a good sleeping behavior, if the person is in a good relationship, can all influence if the pain is very bad or very light.
那其实对于膝盖疼痛而言，它的影响远远比我们想象的要更复杂一点，它可能是贯穿整个人生的一些经历和一些碎片，都会将影响到你的疼痛的一个严重程度，比如说非常严重，或者说相对较轻。那也许这些因素都可能会从你人生最早的一些经历而影响到，比如说你的关系，包括你的睡眠，包括你的生活习惯等等，这一切的因素都将会影响到你的膝盖疼痛的一个程度情况。但如果你有膝盖疼痛的话，那这将是一个流行病吧，或者说一个从你年轻到你离开这个世界都会伴随你一生的。
So, as a takeaway for you, for today, what did we do today? First of all, we found out what is the main function of the brain, the basic function.
好，那我们今天在课程当中有给大家进行哪些方面的讲解呢？我们做一个简单的总结。首先，第一，我们要发现我们的大脑到底有哪些功能。
And why is the skin so important for brain and movement?
另外，我们的皮肤表层跟我们的大脑的功能，包括我们动作产生，到底的联系有多么重要呢？
Then start to test the skin. So start to glide on the skin to find out which part is not moving well and tape this part into this stuck direction.
第三，我们做了一个测试，比如说用肩关节灵活度测试进行了一个简单的对比，4个方向来进行滑行，去发现哪一个方向相对于其他3个方向粘点卡点会更大。
No matter what you do, don't forget to test and retest a movement to find out if your treatment helped the person.
那不管你的结果是什么样，最终都是希望通过你个人的一个矫正方案使用完，对应前和后的一个比例，到底有哪些变化，是否可以真正通过这样的一个矫正能够帮助到这个客户。
Last point, try to create an understanding that why the person has a problem and what could be the way to solve the problem.
然后呢，最后是一定要让客户明白、理解到 产生这样的问题的原因是什么，然后我们会通过什么样的方法去解决这个问题。
We have a lot of other tools that we use within Rocktape. One of our tools is also Rockfloss, which is a latex band. And I'm more than happy if you look my second session on Sunday, I think, where I will talk about the Rockfloss band and how you can integrate this in training and therapy in a lot of different ways to treat and to work with a lot of different problems.
好，那么我们第二个非常重要的设备，也是 Rocktape 当中的一个非常经典的设备，叫做 Floss。那如果你有幸能够观看我的第二个主题的演讲的话，我将详细讲到这个设备或者说这个东西的背后使用方法，包括它的一些功能和好处，将会影响到很多的客户，不仅能够帮助到摄影教练和物理治疗师有更多方案的解决，还能够帮助客户达到收益。
Thank you very much for watching the session today. And yes, I'm happy to see you again. Have a good time. Bye bye.
好，非常感谢各位今天的聆听，我希望下次能够早日再见到的各位，感谢各位的今天的聆听，谢谢大家的参与，谢谢。